Greetings one and all, this is your host Grudgel again with another monthly challenge build for Cordless VII's Discord server called Vault VII, as put forth by Commonwealth Charlie. This particular build challenge for the month of April 2018 is to build a tree house, or a structure with a tree, or incorporating a tree, or something like that. At least a tree or trees. It can be built using the creation kit or the workshop mode. I did mine all in workshop mode, and it can be placed anywhere in the Commonwealth. As you can see, I just walked through Oberlin Station. That's where my location is, very near here. As I was talking to the residents of Oberlin Station the other day, they were telling me about the area, and they told me about a plane or an aircraft of some kind that had crashed nearby, just over the ridge, and I knew what they were talking about because I remember seeing it shriek overhead while I was investigating Starlight Drive-In a few weeks ago. So I asked them if they had checked it out. They said they had gone to, but when they got there were several armed men there, so they avoided it. Figured they'd keep their distance and see if those guys moved on, which they did not. It seems like those guys looked like raiders, and what they ended up doing was they apparently set up a camp there or something. Well, since then, they said they've actually fortified the location even more so, and it does look pretty robustly fortified. But it also does have the raider motif going on, bodies on spikes and things like that. So they said they're concerned about these guys. They think that it's inevitable. It's only a matter of time before they come to harass them, but they haven't seen them actually ever leave the camp, not even once, not even to go raid or anything. There's another gate up here that also looks a bit imposing. Another nasty looking guard right there, and a turret. And these walls do look pretty robust, that's for sure. They look a lot less, I mean, they look ramshackle as far as the pieces are concerned, but they look like they're a relatively solid construction. Another guard, a door there, more spikes and bodies, another guard, another turret. Yeah, this is pretty well protected, definitely, I would say. Look at the size of these walls. More turret. What are they hiding here? God. Anyway, you can see by the flames and stuff, this is obviously where the crash occurred, way back there. But they've got their whole settlement established around it. Yeah, that's a deterrent right there. Some ghoul bodies on spike, or hanging from a spike or something. More turrets and walls. Yeah, it looks pretty well defended and a lot more organized than most raiders' establishments. You have barbed wire on stuff down here. Keep people away. You got spotlights watching the water line. Guard posts. More walls. Barbed wire. It just doesn't stop. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but it doesn't look like your typical raider establishment, that's for sure. A lot more organized and defended than that. So let's see if we can't find another way where we can take a look and see what's going on. Maybe up here on the high ground. Getting a little bit of laggy skip going on there. That's not normal. Yeah, so here's that wall with the gate, the first gate that we saw. And there's a wall inside the gate. Like when the gate opens, there's walls there to block you from seeing inside. Wonder what's going on. Well, that doesn't look normal. Nice and clean. White. Who's this guy? Is he in a lab coat? He sure is in a lab coat. There's another one sitting at the table. Also appears to be in a lab coat. What's going on with these spotlights? These cones? What are they looking at? Well, they're spotlights and cones. 3 for whatever reason. What do they got going on here? These pods look very clean, organized. These residential oh, those are cots. Yeah, these are sleeping quarters. Look at the symbol on that. Uh-oh. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but Yeah. Yeah, so clearly the Institute is involved in something going on here. And they want it to look like there's raiders on the outside. Now, if I come out of character there, we can go take a look at the inside of the build itself now. And we will, of course, get to the treehouse and how the treehouse plays a very important role in this build. This is indeed living quarters for the Institute personnel that are here, and I'll explain exactly what happened. I wasn't the only one who saw the aircraft come down. The Institute saw it, and they were very interested. They sent a mobile field team, or a field investigative team, excuse me, with a mobile lab to the location here to investigate the crash site and see what kind of potential just knowledge they can gain from it, in addition to any technology, of course, that they could get from it. And we're going to go ahead and accelerate the time real quick just to get to daylight hours to show you the rest of the camp. I don't want to get in dark on us now. So, you know, like I said, they responded to the crash location. They set up 4 investigative sites that they are, gathering their research information from. This is site number 4 down here, which includes the cave as well as the blood splotches and stuff that are on the ground that aren't showing up very well for whatever reason right now. It seems like some loads they show up real nicely and some loads they don't, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. There's more here on the wall and on the ground in this location also, which is why this is investigative site number 3, also spotlighted up. Investigative site number 2 has, or did have, big splotches of the blood right here. For whatever reason, it decides it's not going to show up right now. But anyway, that's what this guy's looking down at. He's got a camera there and a magnifying glass and a clipboard. Again, don't know why it's not showing up. Investigative site number 1 is the crash site itself, as well as over by that cone was a big splotch of blood. So their field investigative team brought their mobile lab, which is these pods, here to investigate the location. The other pods are just for their living. There are 12 beds there, and there are 12 personnel here. This is just the pod for the power and the workshop and stuff like that. See, it's got power here for the mobile lab. This pod here, this individual is investigating the
farm run by
operator of that
Isn't that something?
UFO out there that crashed. So he's got his research material set up. Over here we've got a couple of technicians who are conducting studies and surveys on in regards to soil samples, as well as effects on agriculture from the presence of the spacecraft. Because being a spacecraft, whatever its point of origin was, it could have material that is foreign to the Earth, and that material could come with it and affect our environment in different ways, as well as whatever debris it might have picked up in space as well. And this guy's obviously doing his research in there with some computers to analyze things. And then here's another trailer where they conduct some more research. And then they also have their bathroom back here, for their personnel. Get out of the way, Codsworth. Thank you. So the Institute is here conducting their research. They have this machine set up, gathering vapors and atmospheric samples and testing to see about anything else that might be emanating off of this spacecraft that could affect the air quality. Now, why did this spacecraft come here? It wasn't random, okay? In the 2070s, pre-war, a couple of boys who were best friends. They built themselves a treehouse, called it Fort Caldera here, and this is where they would come and read their comic books and play soldier, and where they were defending the fort against communist invaders, or they would play cowboys defending the fort against Indians, or astronauts defending some space colony against evil robots or aliens or something like that. And they would, they had plenty of their comic books and toys and stuff in here that they would play with. Eventually they built a second treehouse across from it, and they built a little bridge over to the other treehouse. As you can see, it was damaged in the aircraft's crash, the spacecraft's crash. A couple things fell out of the treehouse above when it crashed, and this tree got knocked over and collapsed into the side of the treehouse as well. Anyway, Fort Caldera here, like I said, was a place where these kids would come up and would come and play with their toys and stuff like that, right? They put some posters up, and they would come hang out here. And as they got it, see, it got knocked over here, so all this stuff slid to the side and everything. As they got a little bit older, they weren't just playing. Excuse me, that's squeezed by you. All right, see a bunch of stuff in here. As they got a little bit older, they weren't just playing with these toys and stuff anymore. They started messing with electronics a little bit. Well, they got into modeling for a little bit, making models, not like runway models.
I think with some work we can make a go of it.
And they got into electronics and everything, started dabbling with remote control vehicles, things like that. And one year, one of them got a ham radio for Christmas. They messed around with it for a little while, and then they decided that they were going to try to send out a message to the cosmos. So you got your spaceship and your ray gun, your Captain Cosmos thing. They liked sci-fi. So they decided to send out a message to the cosmos to see if any aliens might be out there that could respond. They sent out a message inviting any aliens to come to Earth in peace and make contact. They put that message on a loop. They attached an amplifier, this other device here, to it, and they went around the neighborhood. You can see they got some circuit boards and stuff here where they were messing with their electronics. They went around the neighborhood and they got some old satellite TV dishes, like DirecTV and things like that. And they attached them to a tree over here. They wired them all up to their transmitter, and they sent this message out on a loop to space, inviting anyone to come. They had no idea, of course, that some 200 and something years later, the arrival of an extraterrestrial would indeed happen because of their signal that they sent. Now, what happened with the spacecraft was the... oh, by the way, the ham radio was solid-state electronics, so it wasn't affected by the EMP of the nuclear blast. And what happened with the spacecraft was he was responding to that message. He had put his ship, sent it straight in signal toward the source of the signal. That's why it was beelining straight toward here. When he entered the atmosphere, he wasn't quite ready for the amount of turbulence that he encountered. He got knocked around inside his cockpit, got knocked unconscious and wounded, and was not able to conduct a legitimate, safe landing. And instead, the craft just came right in toward the source of the signal and crashed there. And like I said, then the Institute showed up, and they decided, because of they're well aware of the fears that permeate the Commonwealth about them and their synths and all this stuff. So they figured it's best to not operate in the open, and instead to make this look like, or to make this whole place secure and cover their mobile field lab with some kind of a raider settlement. They specifically didn't want it to just look like a settlement that traders might approach or something like that. They made it look raiderish as much as they could, so that it would scare people away and keep people from coming around. However, there are some telltale signs, like I said, that it's not a normal raider thing. One is, like I said, you can see that it's got, the construction is a lot better than most raider camps. It looks more organized. It has power poles, for example. Those you can see from the outside. So there are some dead giveaways. Anyway, that is my build. I hope you all enjoyed the storyline behind it as well as the construction itself. It was fun. It got a little bit bigger than I originally anticipated. I do specifically like the way that the TV dishes, the way that the TV dishes kind of ended up being in the tree, that I embedded them in this tree, you know, for the storyline. I like the way that turned out a lot, and I also like the way the damaged portion of the treehouse turned out, especially considering it was all done in workshop. Place Everywhere is a great tool. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, then please give it a like. And I didn't want to go the route that everybody else, or that a lot of other people were going, which was just making a little player home treehouse thing where you could look out over the Commonwealth and it could be a good sniping post or something like that. I wanted there to be more story to it. If you watched my first video on my Red Rocket Tavern Inn build for last month's challenge, you'll know that that's, I like to create a good story line before construction, so I like it to have a decent amount of lore to it. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. Take care.